Good morning, children. Then I am present with the same lesson, Ivan's Trigen 4 level. Children, you remember in previous class we have read that Stephens, after the exam was over, was going to drop McLeary to the main prison gate as per the instruction of governor. Now let's see. How did he get on? Do you think? Asked Stephens as he walked beside McLeary to the main gates. Ouch! I cannot think he has distinguished himself. I am afraid. On the way to the prison gate, Stephens asked McLeary that, what do you think about the performance of Evans in the exam? Then McLeary told, oh, I don't think he has done well. And I am afraid. Means he wanted to see that he was afraid if he would pass the exam or not. His Scots accent seemed broader than ever, and his long black overcoat, reaching almost to his knees, fostered the illusion that he had suddenly grown slimmer. When McLeary spoke, then his Scots accent seemed to be more noticeable than morning. In the morning, when he spoke, his Scots accent was not so noticeable, but this time it was more clear. Moreover, his long black overcoat, which went up to his knees, indicated that McLeary seemed to be thinner than before. Means in the morning, he didn't seem to be so thin as now he seemed. So these things increased the doubt of Stephens. Stephens felt pleased that the governor had asked him and not Jackson to see McLeary off the premises, and all in the morning had gone pretty well. But something stopped him from making his way directly to the canteen for a belated cup of coffee. He wanted to take just one last look at Evans. It was like a program he had seen on TV about a woman who could never really convince herself that she had locked the front door when she had gone to bed. Often she had got up 12, 15 times, 20 times to check the bolts. Stephens was very happy to think that the governor had more faith in him than Jackson. And that's why perhaps the governor told him to drop McLeary to the main prison gate, and he did not tell Jackson. Since morning everything had passed well, so he was very happy. Now he wanted to take his coffee. Earlier, another day, he used to take his coffee earlier. Today, he was late due to his duty. But no matter, now he wanted to take. But before he could take his coffee, an idea came to his mind. What was the idea? The idea was that he wanted to convince himself by going to Evans's cell that Evans was safe, that Evans's cell was locked. When this idea came to him, then he remembered one of the TV programs. In that program, there was a lady. Whenever she went to bed, she wanted to convince herself that she had locked the main gate of her house, and to convince herself, sometimes 12 times, sometimes 15 times, sometimes even 20 times. She went to the main gate to convince us. So he remembered that like that lady, he also wanted to convince himself by going to Evance's cell to see that the cell was locked open. He re-entered Dewing, made his way along to Evance's cell and opened the peephole once more. Oh no, Christ, no. There, sprawled back in Evance's chair was a man. For a semi-second, Stephens thought it must be Evans, a grey regulation blanket slipping from his shoulders. The front of his closely cropped, irregularly tufted hair, awash with fierce red blood, which had dripped already through the small black beard and was even now spreading horribly over the white clerical collar and down into the black clerical front. Stephens re-entered, means Stephens entered again the D-wing. Finally, he reached Evans's cell. Through the peephole, he looked into the cell, and whatever he saw inside the cell was really horrible. He saw a man, totally injured, was lying on Evans's chair with his arms and legs spread out. For a semi-second, for half second, Stephens thought that it was Evans. But then he saw that it was McLeary. The blanket was slipping from his shoulders, and the front tuft of his hair, bunch of his hair, was flooded with blood, which had already fallen through his black beard on his white clerical collar and black clerical front, means black clerical shirt, and even now was spreading so horribly. Stephens shouted wildly for Jackson, and the words appeared to penetrate the curtain of blood that veiled McLeary's ears. For the minister's hand felt feebly for a handkerchief from his pocket and held it to his bleeding head, the blood seeping slowly through the white linen. To see the condition of the room, Stephens shouted, cried, "Jackson, Jackson!" He shouted so loudly that the words penetrated, the words made a hole, the words pierced the covering of blood of the ear of McLeary. Miss McLeary's ears were covered with a curtain of blood. But Stephens shouted so loudly that his words went into his ears, penetrating the curtain of his blood, cover of his blood, and held it. For the minister's hand felt feebly for a handkerchief from his pocket and held it to his bleeding head, the blood seeping slowly through the white linen. After that, the minister, McLeary, feebly, weakly, with his weak hand, took the handkerchief from his pocket and he put the handkerchief on his bleeding head. The blood started seeping, dripping through the white linen, means through the white handkerchief, means soon the handkerchief was wet. He gave a long, low moan and tried to speak, but his voice trailed away. And by the time Jackson had arrived and dispatched Stephens to ring the police and ambulance, the handkerchief was sticky, squelchy wose of cloth. He gave a long, low moan. Moan means groan. Groan means cry. He, who, MacLeary, cried out of pain. And he wanted to tell something, speak something, but due to pain, his voice slowly and gradually stopped. And by that time, Jackson had already arrived. When Jackson arrived, then Jackson dispatched Stephens, means sent Stephens to call the police and ambulance. And the condition of handkerchief had become so bad. It was flooded. It was covered with blood. It was totally wet. It was just like a soft and wet thing which produces some kind of sound. Children, here there is one word, squelchy. Squelchy means such soft and wet thing which produces a quiet sound. Wose. Wose means a piece of or amount of something. A piece of cloth. The handkerchief, as it was flooded with blood, so was converted into a piece of cloth which was totally wet, which produced a quiet sound if it could be pressed. MacLeary slowly raised himself, his face twisted tightly with pain. "Do not worry about the ambulance, man. I'm right. Get the police. I know. Where he closed his eyes and another drip of blood splashed like a huge red raindrop on the wooden floor. MacLeary anyway managed himself to raise. Means anyway he stood up, and due to pain his face was twisted, his face was bent. MacLeary, with his feeble voice, weak voice, tried to speak. I'm all right. Only get the police. Call the police. I want to tell something. I know where Evans has gone." And after that, his pain was so severe that he closed his eyes, and one more drop of blood fell to the ground. This drop of blood was looking like a big raindrop. His hand felt along the table, found the German question paper and grabbed it tightly in his blood-stained hand. "Get the governor. I know where he was." With his hand, anyway, he touched the table. He moved his hand on the table and took the German question paper. He caught the German question paper tightly and he told, "Dad, please, call the police, call the governor as soon as possible. I want to tell him something. I know where Evans has gone, escaped." Almost immediately, sirens were sounding. Prison officers barked orders. Puzzled prisoners pushed their way along the corridors. Doors were banged and bolted, and phones were ringing everywhere. And within a minute, MacLeary, with Jackson and Stephens supporting him on either side, his face now streaked and capped with drying blood, was greeted in the prison yard by the governor, perplexed and grim. The situation of the prison was confused. There was chaos, disorder in the whole prison. Everywhere phones were ringing. There was sound of locking and closing the doors. The prisoners were going here and there through the corridors. The prison officers were passing orders to one another, and sirens had started sounding. So the total social condition was confused. The prison was in disorder, in chaos. Just that very time, McLeary, with the support of Jackson and Stephens, anyway, was being brought out of the cell, and as soon as they reached the yard, they were greeted by the governor. Means they met governor. Means by now the governor had also come. Children, when McLeary was being brought by Stephens and Jackson, McLeary's head was lined with blood. Most of the blood had already dried. We must get you to hospital immediately. I just don't. He called the police. Yes, they are on their way, but all right. Look here. Awkwardly, he opened the German question paper and thrust it before the governor's face. It's there. I see what I mean. When governor saw McLeary, then he told, oh my God, immediately you have to be hospitalized. Then McLeary told, oh, don't think about me, don't worry about me. And he put the German question paper awkwardly, nervously, before the face of the governor. He told governor, please see and try to understand what I want to show you, what I want to tell you. You please call the police only. Then the governor told, yes, the police are on the way, they are coming. The governor looked down and realized what McLeary was trying to tell him. A photocopied sheet had been carefully and cleverly superimposed over the last originally blank page of the question paper. When governor saw the German question paper, he understood everything. He realized what McLeary wanted to tell him. On the last page of question paper, which was blank, a photocopied message was pasted. Seeing this, the governor understood everything. Governor realized what McLeary wanted to tell him. See what they have done, governor, see. His voice trailed off again as the governor, dredging the layers of long neglected learning, willed himself to translate the German text before him. McLeary told, Governor, please see what they have done, what he has done, what Evans has done. His voice trailed off again, and again his voice slowly and gradually stopped. The governor, dredging his layers of long neglected learning, governor tried to recollect his learning, all his knowledge of German, which by now had almost gone out of his mind, which by now had almost forgotten. He tried to recollect the knowledge of his German so that he could read the message, because the message was written in the language German. Willed himself to translate the German text before him. Willed himself means he tried to motivate himself, encourage himself, so that he could translate the German words into English and he could understand. So that's all for today. Thanks.